Hello. I thought today we'd talk about Endgame, and specifically how to calculate basic Endgame values. This is pretty introductory, I suppose, but it's an important topic nonetheless, and I think there's not a lot of it that's covered in Western literature, so we're going to just go over some really basic cases. So by basic, I basically mean one level of reading. And when I make an advanced video, that'll become clearer what I mean by that. So I think the easiest place to start with is this problem down at the bottom. So if we're calculating move value, that means that black can play or white can play, and we want to figure out how much the move is worth. And when we say how much the move is worth, it should be intuitively obvious that whoever plays the move, it should have the same value, because if you're playing a move as black, you're taking away points from white, or you're gaining something for yourself. And if you're playing as white, then you're gaining something for yourself or taking away from black. So actually, slightly before this, let's look at the bottom left over here. If black plays, black actually gets no points, right? We could think of it as black just saves the stones, but he hasn't actually gotten any points. It's just prevented white from making points, right? Whereas if white plays, then white gets 6 stones or 12 points, right? So, but that we wouldn't want to say that if black plays, black got nothing. We would just say that the move is worth 12 points, and in the end, it ended up being that black got no points, but it prevented white from taking 12 points, so it's still worth 12 points. And it's worth mentioning that this is the swing value method of calculating. We could also look at this and say, oh, well, we would estimate, and this is a slightly different topic, that white has 6 points here, because it is more likely that white will get something here than black. And that's fine. And then we would say that for the move at A4 here, it would be gaining white the other six more points to bring it up to 12, and if black played, it'd bring it from 6 down to 0. Either way, it's worth 6 points in the MI value sense. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do these all in swing values because those are more common, and in practice they tend to be slightly faster because of some tricks you can use in more complicated situations. Okay, so let's look at the bottom. Down here, so black can play the Hane here to capture the 2 stones, or white could play a B to capture the 2 stones. Now let's count how many points each of those is worth, right? So if black plays here, black is getting the 2 stones and also 1 more point at L1, right? If white plays first, then this point will not be a point for black. Even if black Ataris and white takes, there's still no point here. And in contrast, white has gained the 5 points here, 2 stones and 1 point. So we could simply say if white plays, white gets 5 points. And if black plays, then black gets 5 points. So the total value, the swing value of this move is 10 points. Pretty easy, right? Okay, now let's look. And I want to show that this is not the case just for things that are clearly have stones, right? Like, so we're captured here, and we can also play at the top, right? Black could play the Hane at A, or white could play the Hane at B. Sometimes you'd want to descend with either one, but this isn't one of those cases. Okay, so how much is this worth? Well, if you're a fairly strong player, you actually have this kind of move memorized because it happens very often. In this kind of case, it's worth 6 points. And I'll show you why that is. So after black Hanes and white blocks and black connects, then it's about a 50% chance whether white will get the move, the Hane here, or black will get the Hane here. So you can just estimate it by descending, or we could say neither of these points belong to either player, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll just say it's an even exchange like this. And we'll want to keep track that black has these 3 points. Okay, like K19, K18, L19. And backing up, now when white Han is here, and black blocks and white connects, we can see that those 3 points that we marked are no longer here. And if we just estimate down to the border, then it's really clear that these 3 are taken up by the white stones, and there's no points here. Excuse me. In contrast, we can see that white has gained 3 points here in our other variation. Oh, I took it off with this. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, in our other variation, oh, black played here, right? So for comparison, these 3 points are now filled, and white no longer has the 3 points here that white would have had before. So in total, white has gained 3 points like this and denied 3 points from black, where here black would gain the 3 and deny 3 from white. So the total swing is 6 points, because either way you're getting 3 points and denying 3 from your opponent, so total is 6. And it's important to remember that these are all Gote moves. So on the right, you would maybe think this is a 3-point move, because if white plays like this, compared to black playing, white has gotten 1 point here, and black has been denied 2 points. So it's this total of 3 points. And it's true, this is a 3-point move, but it's not Gote. And the reason it's not Gote is that, oh, well, this is slightly, when I set it up, okay, I lied. In this case, it's Gote. But if this was not here, my bad, then this is not a Gote move for white, because if black were to play elsewhere, this cut would be really damaging, and it's bigger than the move itself. The move was originally 3 points. By coming in and taking anything here is worth more than 3 points. And if you've never seen it before, this is how you'd capture the stones. You can just net, and black can't do anything. Okay, and so the key point here is that this is white's sente, and when the move is sente, we basically say that we treat it as the right of the player who has sente. Because when there are no moves that are worth more than 3 points, white will play here. And actually, it's slightly bigger than that, because we would actually say when there are no moves that are bigger than this move, which is about 5 points, white would play here. And actually, I didn't do the math. I usually baseline it as 5, but in this case, it's slightly more than 5 because there's more space up here. But in any case, it's more than 3 points, more than the value of the original move. So if this was the largest move on the board, then this follow-up is now the largest move on the board. So black would answer, and white gets this in sente. And that's basically all the basic shapes. I wanted to just mention one more thing. In the bottom right, we have a life and death position. And it's important to remember that when you're dealing with points, life and death also applies. So if white plays, white has 3 points, right? 1, 2, 3. And if black plays, then black has 10, 14, 17 points. And then you can see, so I counted by, this is 5 times 2 is 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. You might have your own way, like you could have said this is 10 plus, 7, which is also 17, yeah. And the way you would say that is like this is a 3 by 3, which is 9 plus 1, so that's 10, and then you count the stones. There's a lot of different ways to count these kind of things. Okay, so that is life and death. And I just wanted to show you one minor example of a special case. So this is what we call an ambiguous move. Whether or not to capture this. It's very obvious that if white plays first, then white has no points, at least in this little area. Of course, there's the 2 eyes here, but we're just talking about these. And it's tricky because if black captures, it's unclear whether or not white will capture back or white might play elsewhere. But let's think about this position for a little bit. Without counting the captures, if black plays again, black has 1 point here. And if white captures back, white gets 1 point. So we can actually say on average, in this position, neither side can expect to have more than the other. Both sides just have a 50-50 chance of playing a 1-point move, or getting 1 point. The move itself would be worth 2 points because it's 1 point each. But because 1 point to either side, we would just say that in this position, it's 50% chance that either side gets 1 point, and so it's net 0 on average. So another way of saying that is, if black plays here, the board by itself in this area is net 0, but black got 2 points. And if white played the first move, white would get nothing. So the net swing of this is 2 points. Alternatively, if black were to play and white took back, black got 2 stones, white got 1, so black got 1 point in Sente. Now, is it 1 point in Sente or 2 points in Gote it's not something you can answer in general because it depends on the board position. You might say, well, black played a 2-point Gote move, and now this move to capture back is also 2 points. So, you know, if the 2-point move was the biggest thing on the board, yeah, of course, why don't they play the 2-point move also? Because that's the biggest thing on the board. In that sense, it would be Sente. However, in practice, that's not always the case, because not all 2-point moves are worth the same. And that's a topic for another time. But I just wanted to show you a position where we call this ambiguous, where it could be Sente or it could be Gote in different kinds of circumstances. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was instructive and informative.